Welcome to Conquering Your Clownfish, a podcast dedicated to transforming disabilities into special abilities. I'm your host, Brady Murray. Welcome to Conquering Your Clownfish. I am thrilled to present our special guest today, Jordan Bates. Based in Arizona, Jordan lives with her husband and 3 children. Both of her sons have autism and are nonverbal. Jordan is the co-founder of MAKE, Moms of Autistic Kids events. MAKE organizes events for mothers of autistic children in the Phoenix area. Jordan also openly shares her personal experiences on Instagram to offer support and connection to other parents in the disability community. Jordan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So excited to have you on. This is going to be a fun conversation. I would love to start with just sharing a little bit about you and your family and your background.
Sure. So I'm Jordan. I'm married to my husband, Devin, and we have 3 awesome kids. My stepdaughter, Claire, is 13. McAllen is 5.5, and Lincoln is 3.5. I'm originally from Seattle, but have been in Arizona for 13 years now. And like you mentioned, I co-founded MAKE, Moms of Autistic Kids events, and we are hosting our 3rd event in September. We're really excited about it. We're about to have 130 moms come to our next event.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's grown, and we're so excited to keep doing these events and connecting moms in the community with resources and each other, and it's just been a really wonderful experience.
Jordan, let's start there. Tell us the inspiration behind MAKE. I mean, to start an organization, to organize these events, to start a foundation and start to organize everything, that is a big undertaking, not to mention that you're raising 3 rambunctious children. You have obviously your hands full. So talk to us about the inspiration behind MAKE.
Really, it started because I just remember feeling so alone in the beginning. I didn't have any friends with disabled children. I was so lonely, and really, I just didn't want any other mom or dad to feel that way. And I have some friends who did a very small gathering in Southern California, but I thought that sounds fun. Let's do that here in Arizona. So I talked to a couple of friends, and it really started by saying, maybe we should just do a happy hour or something.
Yeah.
And then it grew. It grew until I think our first event was 80 people.
Wow.
Yeah, and it just came from the need of these moms in the community just saying, yeah, we're really excited for this, and we don't have anybody in real life, and so it just that need really helped grow, because how could we say no to all these people?
And this is just in your local community. I mean, you had
Correct.
that many moms just from your local community that were attending that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, just in the area. We actually had moms from northern Arizona drive 3 hours just to
Wow.
come to the event, because they just want to meet people in person. And having friendships on Instagram, on Facebook, social media is great. But there's something about that in-person connection that really is special. And so that's where we've gone with MAKE.
Yeah, and so this is a relatively new endeavor, and it seems like it's growing like wildfire. What is your vision for what this can become?
Oh man, I just see us continuing with these events. Probably we're going to cap it at around 150, just for space wise. Finding event spaces are hard to do too much bigger. But every few months, we'd love to continue having these events, every 3 or 4 months or so, and just connecting moms with each other. And we really would love to see, smaller events, spur off from this with moms, just getting together on their own, with these friendships that they're making at
Definitely.
the events. Um, yeah.
So share with us a little bit what an event looks like.
Um, we have a DJ and an open bar, and we've got vendors. So we've got AAC specialists for communication devices, speech therapists. We've had um, inclusion apparel companies there. Um, Moms that make stickers and tumblers and all that, and everybody has a connection to the disability community,
Yeah.
which we really like. So I know that we've got, I think, 10 vendors coming to our next event.
Hmm.
And we've got there's a toy company that came, and a learning company that's it's not ABA, but it's founded by BCBAs, and they just do a different model for therapy for kids. So just getting different types of vendors out there for these moms to learn about is really great. So we've got all of those, and then we have an incredible food spread. So everybody just kind of comes in and grabs some food and some drinks, sits and listens to music and visits, and has a good time. We do big raffles, so we've got lots of prizes and stuff for people to win. And it's generally about 3 hours long, and people just have a great time.
So Jordan, I think you're onto a special recipe. DJ, open bar, great food, and lots of prizes. I can
Yep.
see why this is so popular for the community. Great
Yes.
job on this.
Thank you.
Well, that's fun. I'd like to switch gears and talk a little bit more on just your own story. And so, can you share with us about your journey in this disability community?
Absolutely. So my son McAllen, he was born premature at 33 weeks, and when he was about a year old, we started seeing, a little bit of he was behind in some of his milestones, but we just heard just wait, let him catch up. But then he had a very noticeable regression, and it was my husband who first put autism on the map, and he said, I think this is what's going on. And I said, no, the pediatrician said let's just wait and see, let him catch up. But then it was pretty clear, okay, this is what we're dealing with here. And it was in the middle of the pandemic, so it was really hard to get services. I was very newly pregnant with my second son, um, which was a surprise. So it was really hard mentally, just dealing with all of that, because I knew nothing about autism, absolutely nothing. So I was scared. I've got my beautiful son here who's losing skills that he once had, and he was becoming frustrated and having a hard time, and all I wanted to do was help him. But being in the pandemic, we just had to wait. Um, but eventually, we got him services, and I had my second son, and we watched him very closely. He was in a program for younger siblings of autistic individuals, so we had an eye on some things. And then he got his evaluation pretty early and was diagnosed right after he turned 18 months. And he displays his autistic traits are very different than my older son, so I was very surprised with his diagnosis. And the boys are just under 2 years apart, so they're very close in age. And just having two boys in general that close in age is a handful, but having
Yeah.
both with autism, and being non-speaking, it presents its challenges for sure. But they're just the best boys, and I love them so much.
So, could you share a little bit more on your family? And so, Devin, you have Claire, who's 13, who is your stepdaughter. And so is Claire your daughter? Or I'm sorry, so that's Devin's daughter, correct?
Correct.
In fact, I'm gonna redo that question. Okay, so I'd like to have you share a little bit more just about your family situation, where Claire is Devin's daughter, that is your stepdaughter, and Devin and you have been married now for how long?
7 years.
Okay, so 7 years. That is a unique dynamic. It's already stressful, I imagine, when you are raising a daughter that is your stepdaughter and some of the unique dynamics that come with that. But then to add two children that have autism, that adds a lot to the dynamic. Could you share with us a little bit about your family dynamic and how you're managing through that and how you're thriving through that?
I'm very lucky that Claire is an amazing girl, and she doesn't remember life before four parents. We met when she was 3 years old,
Okay.
and so she calls me mom, and is just so used to that. It's been challenging on her with the boys, just because they demand so much time and attention, but we just do our best to have one-on-one time with her when we can. We utilize respite care when we can for the boys, so we can have that one-on-one time with Claire. Very open about everything. I'm open about my mental health struggles. I struggle with depression and anxiety, and I share that with her openly. So she knows it's not a taboo topic. So she can come to me with her, if she has any issues. And she has shared, that hey, it's hard when the boys get all of your attention, and I'm feeling a little lonely, things like that. And so having that open conversation has been really helpful for us.
Jordan, has that always been natural for you to be able to just share openly with some of those challenges that you may experience with your mental health?
It has been. I don't know where it came from, but I've always been a big sharer with that, and I think because I have struggled with it for so long, that it's just such a part of me that I'm able to share. And our daughter has had her own struggles with anxiety, especially around health, because of McAllen's past. He had some big health issues when he was an infant. He was actually on life support. He got RSV and got very, very sick, was on life support for a week and almost died. And so she got a lot of health anxiety after that. Every time he would get sick or she would get sick, it would trigger panic
That was a
attacks.
traumatic. Yeah, that was a
Very.
traumatic experience.
So just being able to have that open conversation, I think, just makes it a lot easier to talk about and have it not be so scary.
Well, I'm seeing a trend here in a very positive way. And so you look, Jordan, at where you have been so open and being able to just share and be very vulnerable in that respect. That is such a blessing, not only for you, but such a blessing as well for your family or those who you would be open to sharing that with. And what a great blessing that's been for Claire. And so I have to imagine that just that open mindset and your willingness to be vulnerable and to be transparent and just share exactly what's transpiring had to lead into you creating this foundation. Because I have to imagine that around many of those dinner tables or those tables that you're there and having this event, that there are some very vulnerable moments that are being taken place or that are happening then.
Absolutely. And I share a lot on my Instagram too. It started with postpartum depression, and then when Matt got sick, but then I continued to share all through his autism diagnosis. I didn't hide it at all. I was very open about, hey, we've got this appointment coming up. We're looking into an autism diagnosis, and where some people choose to hold it close to their chest, I was very open the whole time, and that included some really hard feelings, and and I just chose to be open and honest with it because there are no bad feelings around it. You know,
Yeah,
some people say that, you know, it's scary and hard, and it is, but it's also beautiful. And it took me
yeah,
a while to get there to see that, but having that mentality of just being open about it has really, it's helped uh, other people. I know I get beautiful messages from people on Instagram, and I really appreciate that. And it's helped bring people to my page, which has helped, you know, with this foundation and being able to
definitely.
connect other people. But I think people appreciate the openness and vulnerability um, around these hard topics, you know, which, oh,
They are. They are very hard. They are hard topics. Since having your boys, have you found that that has made it more difficult to handle some of the mental health struggles that you've had, or have you found ways to be able to actually improve on that in being in service of your boys?
I think that it's they have helped me overall. They make me want to be a better person and a better mother. Um, One of the biggest gifts that they have given to me is slowing down and learning to appreciate little things. Especially my older son, Macallan, he looks at the world with such awe. He looks at the leaves blowing in the wind and just little things like that, and is just mesmerized by it. And I'm like, buddy, you're right, that is beautiful. And
Yeah.
so he's just taught me to slow down and to appreciate the little things in life. Um, and between that and just wanting to be better for them, I've taken better care of myself. You know, I had to realize I can't pour from an empty cup. I have to take
Mhm.
care of myself as a mother in order to be able to take care of them. So,
Yeah.
I think it's a mix of both.
Isn't that the unique side of this disability journey that I see so often? I see it in my own family situation, my own family dynamics. I see it with guests on the podcast, with families that we're working with Caring Tide and helping them and serving them. I see it so many different times that when we are anxiously engaged in a cause, and then in caregiving is a cause in my mind, when we are absolutely anxiously engaged in a cause and we're in the service of others, that oftentimes it's us that benefit the most from that in
Hmm.
that service. And isn't that just a timeless principle?
Yes. Yeah, I love that.
One thing I'd love to visit with you on, you're actually a very special guest with how open and honest and vulnerable you are. And so thank you
Oh,
for being that, Jordan. I would
thank
say that
you.
that's a superpower that you have, and that's a talent that you have. And so thank you for doing that. There was something that I wanted to share with our audience that I think pretty much everybody that listens to this podcast that is in a caregiving capacity feels in a similar way. And so you have the heart, or the biggest fear that you have shared on your journey. And you said, my biggest fear is what happens when I'm gone. Who will take care of them if they're unable to care for themselves? Another fear is that I'm never doing enough for them right now, or the right thing right now. And so
Hmm.
let's start with that second line. That's a very real thing. There's so many people that feel that same way, that I don't know if I'm doing enough for my child right now. So how have you
Hmm.
been able to combat that?
I keep the mentality of, you know, you only know what you know right now, and you know, once you know better, you do better. So because I beat myself up for a long time, looking back on, wow, that was really bad fit with the speech therapist. I should have known better. But I'm just like, I didn't know at the time, so I just go forward with, I'm learning as much as I can. I think what I'm doing right now is enough. But once I learn something, or if there's something new that comes up, then we'll try that. Um, so I try to remember that so I don't make myself crazy.
Yeah,
But
no, what a great principle. What I'm hearing is, in essence, you're doing the very best that you can with the knowledge and understanding that you have right now. And if you fall short anywhere because of a lack of experience in a certain area, you're simply giving yourself grace. You're saying, I
Yes.
did the very best that I could with the hand that I've been dealt, and I will continue to do that for the rest of my boy's life.
Yep.
I think that's a beautiful approach. Well, let's talk about that first line where you say, my biggest fear is what happens when I'm gone. Who will take care of them if they're unable to care for themselves? And by the way, that is the biggest fear, I think, for all of us.
Yep.
Can you share with us your thoughts about that?
Honestly, it's hard for me to think about, and I tend to not go there often because it's so far in the future that I don't have any control over that. All I can control is right now and helping them the best I can right now. Of course, I'm going to do what I can to set us up for success in the future, whether that's a trust or a living will or all of that. But I'm just trying to set them up for success as much as I can right now, and focusing on the day to day, because I think if you focus too much on that and the end and what happens when you're gone, it can just be debilitating.
I agree.
So it's important to stay in the now and not let that consume you, because it's so easy to let it.
No doubt. Yeah, there's no doubt. It reminds me of a guest that I had on that their loved one, young as well, similar age of your boys, their loved one, the life expectancy really was not long. And so I think it was around that 8 to 10 year range. And so I asked about that, and how do you not have that be just this looming dark cloud over you, and in worrying about that? And I thought of his answer when you had shared this, and he just simply said, I make the most out of every day, and I don't worry about tomorrow. And so I make the most out of every day, and I let the tomorrows take care of themselves. And so I thought that was a really insightful thought that I too can sometimes get a little bit analysis or paralysis by analysis, and
Yes.
thinking about the future and, oh boy, what are we going to do? And sometimes I miss out on the todays when I do that. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's a good example, Jordan. Okay, so there's another thing that I'd love to visit with you on in just the short time that we have left. You had shared that your biggest dream for your children is my biggest dream for them is that they will be able to live independently one day. I dream of them being able to communicate, be it through a communication device or verbal speech, but to know their thoughts and their wants and needs would be incredible. I have to imagine that there are so many families out there that have a loved one that has autism, that they have also that exact same dream for their loved one. Could you share with us a little bit about your thoughts there and what you're doing and working towards to be able to realize this dream?
Absolutely. Yes. Like we said, both my boys are non-speaking. And so right now they do use communication apps. They both have AACs, use Proloquo to go, and we work at it every day. And right now they're able to say, they're able to tell me which show they want to watch, if they want a cookie, what book they want to read. But I just dream of a day when they can tell me if their tummy hurts. That's a big one for me. And I mean, the full sentence says, that's a dream,
Sure.
But we work at it every day. We just model without expectation, and no pressure on them, and support them with speech therapy, and do the best that we can. And the little moments when they hit a new button, or they navigate through the pages, it's such a big win.
Is.
It's a surge of pride. It comes over you. Just so excited for them.
Yep.
We're very lucky that happens, fairly regularly. Once a week, there's something new that happens, and that's so wonderful. and I focus on the small wins, which are never small.
Yep.
And they just build upon each other, and I know one day we're gonna get there. And so we're just focusing on the little wins, and
Yep. The small
yeah.
things are the big things. So with children, I have children as well that are one in particular that I would say he attempts to talk, but we're not necessarily understanding him. So he'd be more nonverbal. And a frustration that I run into, he has Down syndrome as well. And so a frustration that I run into is I think people, when they hear my son talk, or they see that he has Down syndrome, they immediately treat him and see him as unintelligent or
Right.
as not being able to really, take care of himself if that were
Mm-hmm.
the case. And when in reality, he is so intelligent and has so much to give. Do you find similar things with your boys as well, that individuals will see them where they're nonverbal and immediately look at them as not being intelligent?
Absolutely, and nothing drives me crazier.
Me too.
They just assume that they don't understand. They talk about them like they're not there,
Yeah,
and
so frustrating.
so frustrating. And that's when I know, okay, you're not the type of person we want to have around. And I just, look for the therapists that talk to them like they're any other kid, that presume competence, and treat them with respect.
Yes.
And there's so many good therapists out there that will do that. And you know, it's even family will sometimes forget that
That's the
they're.
hardest ones.
Yes, it is. They kind of dumb down how they're talking to
Yes.
them, and I'm like, he understands you. His receptive language is fantastic. You've
Yeah.
got to remember, just because he can't say anything back doesn't mean he's not understanding you 100%.
Right.
Talk to him like any other kid.
Yep. No, I envision, I think it would be awesome. Wait until these boys get to be teenagers. And then if there was the technology for them to actually have a smart aleck remark response, then
Yes.
push that button, right?
Yep.
Yep, that would be very fun. Oh, that
Yeah.
would be good. Yeah, very good.
Sometimes when well, say that we have a therapist come in home, I'll say, "Hey boys, can you say hello?" And they look, and then they grab their AAC and they go, "Goodbye." I'm like, tell me how you really feel.
Well, that's going in the direction that I kind of envision for when they're
Yep.
teenagers, right? So
Yep.
this is good. Yep, this is wonderful. Well, Jordan, you've been an amazing guest today. I just really have enjoyed your just your genuine and your sincere desire to be able to just be who you are. And it shows why so many people are coming to your events and why in such a short period of time you're having such a positive impact on so many moms in particular that really need this community. And so thank you for your service in the disability community, and thank you for being a guest on our show today.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Conquering Your Clownfish. If you liked what we discussed on the podcast today and want to continue the conversation, please visit us at conqueringyourclownfish.com. And please don't forget to subscribe.